Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. Happy Tuesday. So, yeah, we got kind of crazy week we've been going on here. See a bunch of people are on. Of course, this thing's in front of me. Let's see if I can clear this out here. Johnny Rocket's on, Wrench Sense, Ryan Lee. Hey man, how you guys all doing? Kind of got a little late to the show tonight. Been trying to get stuff going on here. So, yeah, so been working on the Vega LS swap. Got the dummy engine in there. I got a little video I'm putting together for that. I kind of got it edited this time, which is unusual. So Johnny Wrenchson says, this is funny. My wife is a pro welder. I don't know what this box is up here. Okay, here we go. Now I can see the chat. Yeah, so that's been working on that. Got Smurf back in the house. Got to get it ready for the big first race of the year next week. So doing a re-ring on the engine. Took it apart. Everything looks great. So just a maintenance type deal. Hey Chuck, how you doing? So that's going to be a pretty easy one, I think. And have to I mount up some beadlocks. I thought that might be interesting. Maybe you guys haven't seen how you do beadlocks. And I'll always mess up on the first one, so I took the long way around. It's kind of funny. Ryan says, what does she weld? It's funny, you know, when you're mounting tires on a tire machine, you always look for the big step in the wheel, and that's how you roll the tire off the rim. But on a beadlock, you got to go over the bead no matter which way it goes. So there's no wrong way. There's just an easier way. So, and I always seem to do the wrong way the first time. Oh, wow. Rinson says she does MIG, TIG, mild steel, aluminum, stainless. Awesome. That's glad you married her. That's a woman you keep. So, yeah, so that's all that's going on. Trying to think. Sunday I was heading up to Orlando. Sunday I was heading up to Orlando to meet with Mike Burrell, and we were going to run the silver dragster with the 250 inline 6 Chevy in it. Has a new bolt together converter, so we were excited to see what was going on with that. But they had a little foobar, so they weren't going to be able to make it, or weren't going to be able to do it. So he gave me a shout out. You know, in the morning I was probably about an hour up on the road of a 2.5 hour trip, so not a big deal. I went ahead and turned around and headed back. I did some work on my dually, getting it ready to put for sale. And my oldest daughter and her husband had Benji, the shop inspector, for the weekend. And funny, I pulled out, so I drove my, I didn't say that, but I drove my wife's Trailblazer up, heading towards Orlando, and came back. No problems. Trip was easy peasy. So that afternoon I decided, you know, time to go pick up Benj at my daughter's, and I didn't get a mile, and I pull up to the stoplight, and smoke's coming out from underneath the truck. I'm like, first I thought, whose car's smoking? And I kind of looked around, oh, it's me. And of course I was in the middle of all of our roads around here are all 6 lanes, so I was in the middle lane, stuck at an intersection. Took me about a mile up the road to be able to weave my way to the side and get off the road. and it looks like, I haven't looked at it yet, but it looks like one of the quick disconnect oil cooler lines popped out. Must have been swedged in there. Maybe I don't know. The transmission's been in there for probably about 1,000 miles so far. So kind of shocking that I had the problem. I'll check it out in the morning because I had work I had to get done today. So, but yes, that was a highlight, and I was very thankful that that happened after I'd gotten home and not an hour away from home on the highway, or had I gone all the way to Orlando or something like that. So, you know, sometimes things happen for reasons, and that was definitely a good reason not to go to finish my trip to Orlando and get back home. So shout out to Chuck for coming and picking me up and running me back to the house to get the dually and I had to go to the storage yard, get a trailer, and, you know, it was an ordeal. Hey Rick, how you doing? Team Junk, hey, how you guys doing? Appreciate the electric to the hot tub. It's working great. So anyway, let me go ahead and I actually had a couple minutes and I was able to put a couple little videos together instead of giving you all the raw cuts. So let me see if I can pull this up here, get the right screen. Of course, that's not the right one. There it is. Okay, now I'm going. Scott Vega. All right, so this is a little video on getting the LS prep for getting the LS prep to go into Vega. I'm gonna go ahead and build mounts off of the custom mount. So here's where I'm at with this thing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install the engine and transmission. There's our mock-up motor mounts. There's our mock-up engine with bell housing, and we're gonna go ahead and put it on time lapse and get it done. All right, so we got the engine block in there. And with the F-body oil pan, looks like it fits pretty well. Of course, we got this mount here holding the motor up right now. But as you can see, we got the cross member that was in the car originally with a TKO transmission. The new TKX transmission, which fits very good. Shifter's right in the back in the same hole. Bell housing fits good. So we're in real good shape. I think this is the right height. We're going to go down and check the angle. And there it is in the car. So we're definitely going to have to make a 3-piece dry shaft, searing shaft, because there's not going to be enough room for the exhaust manifold there. We're going to work on that next. And let's see where our angle on the engine is. So the angle on the engine is 2.9. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but the car's going uphill right now. So we're actually about 2 degrees uphill, which is perfect. So that should all be good. That's going to help out in dry shaft alignment. The fitment's really good around the firewall back there. That looks all real good back there. So I think we're in a really good place here. And you'll see there's the motor mounts. Now we'll put our Corvette biscuit here, and then we'll just make a bracket that goes onto there. And we'll keep moving forward. Yeah, so Ren, since you're right, that trans mount is it's something else, but I had nothing to do with that. So what they started out with the box all the way across, and then realized, oh, we can't get exhaust through, so then they welded a 3/8 bar stock on top of it to make so they have room for the exhaust. It's crude at best, but it's been in the car for 10 years, so Scott says he wants to go ahead and keep it in there, so we're going to keep it for now anyway. Yeah, Rick, the motor does look like it belongs in there real well. I'm real happy with it. And one of the things, where's there it is in the car. Thought I had some pictures of the mounts. Hang on a second. Oh, wait, here they are. So these are the mounts I'm going to use on this. So Scott is, I'm not going to say he's picky. He's not picky at all. But he likes what he likes. And he's not a fan of feeling engine vibration through the car. So polyurethane mounts are out. So all of his cars, we always rubber mount everything in there just to make it good. So he has a 64 Vet. It's got a newer C5 style motor mounts. I'm like, well, if they worked before, let's go ahead and use them again. So let me switch this picture so I can show you guys. Okay, so here's the motor mount we're going to use. This is out of a C5 Corvette. So it's a rubber biscuit, oil filled, so they dampen vibrations really well. So this aluminum part will bolt into the brackets on the engine, and then we'll make this part will go into the frame. I'm going to make an extension off the frame, and that will take care of that pretty well. Let me go back here. There we go. So it's hard to see in this picture here. Turn the volume off because we don't need to hear it. Okay, and we'll let it play. So you can see there I got my hand under the bracket so you can kind of see where the mount's going to go. So that cushion's going to go there, going straight down, and then I'm going to make a take this bracket here and bend it and form it to where it'll accept that on top of it. So I think it's going to work out real well. Obviously, looking at this picture here, where is it? Yeah, here. The steering is definitely going to need a 3-piece, so it's going to come. I'm going to put a Heim like right in this section here, so the steering will come over here, hit another U-joint, and then actually go back towards the rack, and that'll give us plenty of room there. So we had a set of Holly. Holly actually makes a set of cast stainless manifolds. We bought them; they look beautiful, but the dump is a little bit too far forward. It's kind of more like a truck manifold. So the dump is like directly below the rear cylinder on each bank, and with the Vega unibody in the front, it's just not enough room for the flange. So they make a set of S10 swap manifolds, which the collector is behind the last cylinder, the last exhaust port, and of course they don't have any in stock. We'll have it in a week. So that kind of put the Vega on hold for now, because I need to get the steering finalized, exhaust manifolds finalized, then I can go ahead and build my motor mounts. But you can see with the angle finder, I didn't show it in the video, but when I hung the angle finder on the pinch weld underneath the rocker, it was at 70.7 degrees up, and then of course we want it to be like 0.2 down, so that's basically 0.9. So the motor's sitting at 2 degrees, which it's almost spot on where the engine would be sitting at the angle it would be sitting. I measured the front of the engine. We have room for the water pump. Scott wanted to keep a flex fan on this engine. This car always ran super cold with the big Griffin radiator, so I found PRW makes a water pump that accepts a bolt-on pulley, and we'll be able to use a reverse rotation Flex-Elite flex fan on it. And I measured the front, and we've got the radiator, the water pump is 6 inches from the block, and the radiator is almost 8. So we got plenty of room in the front. We're definitely going to put an alternator on it. It's manual steering, always has been, so we don't need to worry about power steering pump. But the engine that Scott bought does have a ICT style high mount AC compressor on it, and so he's talking about maybe putting AC in the car. So we'll see how that all works out. Ryan says those Vegas are a little bit tight. Just saying, you're right. Of course, you've made a new frame in your car, so you're going to have a lot more room than trying to work around with this stock architecture. But we still got a little time on this job. We're not going to, we're not, the first show that this car is going to go to will be Louisville NSRA in August. So it gives us plenty of time to get the thing done. My buddy Doug is going to paint the engine bay after we fill in a bunch of holes and stuff. And we'll see how that goes. I see Ron's in. Hey man, how you doing? And Chris is in. Hey Chris, how you doing? So yes, that's the update on the Vega. I think it's going really well. Of course, the rest of the week I been working on Papa Smurf. So the Vega is on the back burner for right now until we get those exhaust manifolds. But I'll keep you guys in the loop of what's going on with that. So like I said, I'm Papa Smurf. We're getting ready for the first big race in Alabama. What do they call it? Alabama International Dragway. It's in Steele, Alabama, which is halfway between Atlanta and Birmingham off of Interstate 20. So we'll be up there next weekend. We'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and probably driving home on Sunday. So if anybody's in the area, come check us out. It'll be a pretty good race. It'll be the first event for the small block A-League shootouts. It's a 5-race series. This is going to be the first race. I know the people paid their entries. There was 10 that were prepaid a week and a half ago, and I heard that there may be 2 more showing up. So 12-car shootout's going to be pretty darn nice. Going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, so that is why the Smurf is in the shop. We're getting it ready to, freshen up the motor as fresh as it can be. So we, want to make the best showing we can make. So let me bring this up here. So here's thing keeps opening in the wrong formula. So anyway, so Wrench Sense is saying Ryan building a frame right now with some pretty radical front forks. Scares me a little bit. It looks pretty cool though, Wrench Sense. I mean, very creative idea. I like it. I think it's going to be really neat. Yeah, once Ryan and Kinsler, is that right, Kinsler? His son, he's got a Capri that they're doing, Fox Body Capri. I think once he gets on that, hopefully he's going to get back on his Vega. That's how Ryan and I actually met on one of the H-Body groups. He had posted some pictures of his Vega, which is coming out really, really awesome. 3-link rear suspension with a Watts link, double A-arm. I believe you might have been using Corvette A-arms off of the frame that you had built, but really looked cool, and can't wait till you get back on that thing. But here's where we're at with the with Smurf. I got the motor tore down. You can see, standard small block layout. Although not quite what the standard small block is. I mean, but it is a 4.4 bore center. It just has a dry deck on it. But yeah, so I got it apart to do the rings. I don't know why that picture is that way. That's the other bank. But everything was in tip-top shape. But with spraying heavy volumes of nitrous, tends to knock the tension out of the oil rings after so many passes. And it wasn't bad right now, but by the time we do testing and then 4 rounds of racing, if we can make it to the finals, there's a possibility we could have knocked the tension out. So fresh set of rings for the race. Chris says sounds like the races would make a good YouTube series. Yeah, there's actually I don't have much time to film at them. I need to get hooked up with some videographers. But Forever Grudge is a YouTube channel. If you want to see some grudge racing, he's at almost all the big events. We've been on a bunch of his videos, and he does a pretty good job of capturing the what's going on at the track. He's got a couple different cameras, camera places he uses and stuff. He does a real nice job on that. So a good shout out to him. Go check that out. But it's Forever Grudge. I've posted him on the channel a long time ago. But anyway, yeah. So this is you can see she's all tore down. All the pistons are out, and I'm ready to start hone it and start putting it back together. There's our pistons. Everybody looks happy. So yeah, so we're all good here. And did I do a? Yeah, I did. Stop. So I did a little video on it. So let me start it over again. Now, this is a shop update for the Smurf. Getting ready to do a freshen up re-ring on it. Getting ready for Alabama next week. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Ron says, "Hey George, just curious, what's the name of the shop that is working on the 4200?" So it's me, basically. The engine was originally built by Self Racing out of Oklahoma. The motor was originally built for a guy with the last name Cunningham, and it was built for the 2005 drag week. It was the very first hot rod drag week that it was ever that they did, and it had Glenn and Kevin Self, the father and son team. They built the engine. They had John Meany at the keyboard on the big stuff, and somebody else was involved with it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's what it was set out for. I think the car ran high eights, and it was in a Chevy 2 wagon. If you Google Cunningham 2005 drag week or Cunningham drag week or 4200 drag week, you should be able to get some press on it. I don't think there was actually any videos back then. However, unfortunately, they got caught cheating. They were trailing the car between events. I don't know if that was their original plan or something was maybe going awry and they were trying to make it through the whole week. But nevertheless, they got caught and got thrown out. So around 2011, Leo Santucci bought the engine from, I guess he bought it from Cunningham or from Self. I don't know who actually owned the engine at the time, but he bought the engine, and it came with the Big Stuff 3 in it. And for those people in the inline world, Leo wrote 2 books on the 250, 292 version Chevy high performance engines, and he had a pretty serious small block 250. Actually, it was a mid block, so it was taller deck than a 250, shorter deck than a 292, and it had a pair of small block Chevrolet heads cut and welded together on it, and it was blown, and that was in the Studebaker first, but they were having issues with the engine, and so he bought that engine, figuring that's the newest technology, and he was right. I mean, in 2011, he was way ahead of everybody else, and so for the first 7 or 8 years. The motor always would go back to Self whenever there was any modifications done and stuff. Well, really not modifications, maintenance. They had a lot of issues with a lot of breakage in the motor. I got involved in 2017, I think, is when I first got involved, and I was just really just going to do data acquisition and tuning on the big stuff. Not my favorite system, but back in the day, John Meany was originally owned DFI, digital fuel injection, which then he sold to Excel, and it became Excel DFI, and that's why it was DFI and not EFI, because his original name was digital fuel injection. So anyway, so the Big Stuff 3 is very has the same feel as the old Gen 6 Excel system. So nothing for me to tune, but so we worked on that car for a while. Had one South Florida machine shop work on it one time. They got an oil ring overlapped in it, and so I had to take it apart. Went back to Self. So it'd been back and forth quite a few times there. I don't know. I wasn't really involved in any of that, so I really can't say as to what they were doing with it. I know that we were having a lot of issues with the Big Stuff not data logging and having issues with the communication between the Big Stuff and a race pack Sportsman that was in the car. So we went ahead and I put a Holly Dominator in it got rid of the distributor drive and put coil on plug and all that stuff. And unfortunately, when we were on the dyno, not even making any power, the motor broke a rod in half. It's still, the big end was still on the crank. It wasn't an oiling issue. It wasn't a timing issue. To me, it was a failed connecting rod failure. They were aluminum connecting rods. So one of the big drags about this whole combination was every time that it went back to self to have machine work done, it was a long time. So it windowed the block. So it was almost a year and a half till we got it back. We ran the car. We did a leak down after we ran the car. We were having issues with boost. Then we found the turbo. A long time ago, before I got involved, an exhaust valve had broke, and the parts went out through the engine, through the turbo. I was unaware. I never knew any of that had happened. Well, anyway, it knocked all the teeth off the turbine, so we had to get a new turbo. And then we did a leak down, found number 2 cylinder leaking, which then led to me taking the motor apart, because at that time, the father and son, Kevin and Glenn Self, had passed away from COVID. So now, there's no more guys to go on that. So then I tore the motor apart, put it back together. We found an oiling issue, worked on that, and then we went, as the last time we were talking on the show, we dynoed it. Everything was good. We thought we may have broken a crank, but it ended up being a converter bolt had backed out and was hitting the flange on the block. So now the car is in South Carolina. Leo moved from Arcadia to outside Commerce, Georgia, and his grandson lives in outside Greenville, South Carolina. So they decided to Will, his grandson, built a lean-to on his building to store the car and have a shop where Leo could work on the car and stuff like that. So that's where it's at now. I haven't talked to Will in a couple weeks, but I know he's trying to get his Mustang ready for a streetcar takeover. But once he gets through that, we'll get together and we'll try to get an update on what we're going to do with that. We had a couple of talks about updating the cylinder head and stuff like that. So we'll have to see where his head's at now that we know that the crank wasn't broken and we have the valve train sorted out. I think we should just go ahead and put it together and take it to the track the way it is now before we go into a new cylinder head and all the stuff. So and what I'm getting at there is Will has a Coyote in his Mustang, and I had a lot of ideas after I took this motor apart that we should make a second generation engine, because this engine, it's in the car right now, Glenn Self had designed a bunch of custom parts in the motor, and they're one-off. So, if it breaks badly, it's going to be hard to replicate everything without doing a bunch of custom stuff. So, with the newer technology we have nowadays, we think we can make it a lot more simplistic. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and that's, hopefully that answers your question. That was a very long answer to your question, but that's where we're at with it. So good fun project though. I love it, and we got a bunch of stuff on the channel for it. So anyway, doing the rings on the Smurf, and I had to mount up some new tires, fresh meats. So I got a little video on that. Like I said, you can when you're doing a beadlock wheel, you can take the tire off either way. One way's easy, one way's hard, and it seems like the first one I always do it the hard way. So that's what this is going to be. I filmed it, so don't laugh at me too hard. Let me get this queued up here. Okay, so here's a little video of me doing a beadlock, and we'll talk about it after. It's not that, it's only it's 5 minutes long. Alright, so next up is new tires on the back of the Smurf. So we're going to go ahead and get these rims off the car and go ahead and swap out the tires. Well, that's weird. I guess that was the end of it. uh, so anyway, yes, that was. I don't know, if you guys have seen beadlocks being mounted before. As far as you really can't do them on a tire machine because the rim is actually inside the tire, whereas normally on a normal wheel and tire, the tire is inside the beads of the rim. So it's actually backwards from a normal thing. The actual outer ring is what actually clamps the tire in, and that's the whole idea of it. Is that bead lock? You have to order the rim, whether you're running a Mickey Thompson or a Goodyear, because the beads are a different thickness, and it actually grabs the wheel or the tire 360 degrees on the bead. Works really good for not slipping. And of course, on a drag slick, you'd have screws going in it, but on a radial, you can't run screws into the radial into the bead; it'll rip it apart. But the one problem with even with slicks, when you put the rim screws in, is this tire actually wads between the screws, so it's kind of weird how it shapes and stuff. So and another reason why that set is so hard to do is obviously you can see that we have a 10-inch tire and it's on a 14-inch rim, so it's a little bit of work, but about an hour I can usually do the set of them. Yeah, so let's see on the, we got a bunch in the chat here. I missed it. So Wrenchson was worried about copyright. Yeah, I've been busted earlier because I had downloaded a whole ton of music like 2 years ago from the YouTube studio. But I guess some of the songs were only free for so long. As long as you used them in that era, they were no strikes. So I've got a couple that I had to split the revenue with the song people. But these songs I just downloaded today, they were free, no copyright infringements. But yeah, it does kind of sound like Limp Bizkit. So free download, right? Yeah. Chris said Benji was keeping a close eye. Yep. Accepting donations for a tire machine. Yeah, I wish a tire machine would work on those things. Yeah. Rick says Benji's covering his ears. Too many swearing. Actually, I did not swear. I got a pretty good amount of patience for that. I just took that one off backwards. But like I said, they come off either way. So, it's one of those things. Ryan said surprised is showing anything on the Smurf. Baddest MFer in the country. I believe you were right. But yeah, I mean, there's tires. Everybody's got slicks on beadlocks in grudge racing, so there's nothing special there. Yeah, they are secret though. Chris says, what's the difference with running the inner tube? So the inner tube totally changes the way the tire operates. So when you put a tube inside a tire, it almost is like having two tires. So when the tire, all slicks and radials will have some amount of twist as the car's accelerating. So when you put a tube in it, it stiffens the sidewall even more, even though it's a very thin tube. But it stiffens the sidewall even more and changes the way the car launches. But radials, you don't have to worry about that. And of course with the beadlock, we get a 360 degree bite on the tire, so the tire doesn't deform around the rim bolts. If you I haven't seen the pictures, but I know that they've got pictures out there where some guys would put like 5 or 6 screws in their slicks, and the bead would actually try to pull straight between the bolts. So 6 screws really isn't enough screws in there, because the way the tire, especially a wrinkle wall slick, the way they wad up. So that's why typically wheels that are has rim screws that are done by a rim company usually have 16 in them, or at least 10 anyway. So one thing I did want to show, let's see, where's the picture here? And this is something I do. Man, this thing keeps opening up wrong. One of the things I like to do, and it's a little tidbit for any drag racers out there. If you're running a posi, it doesn't matter because, well, we'll still do some of it. So here's a picture of the wheel when it's back on the car. And whenever I have an axle that has any indication, like on the strange axle, it's got the insignia on the axle center. I always put with a spool. I put the axles into the spool, so whatever that strange name is with this stud up above it, I put them on the same rotation on both sides. The reason I do that, if you have an axle twisting, it's very easy just to look at the car, roll it to where that stud is straight up, and you go to the other side, it should be straight up. If it's clocked, then you know you got twist in your splines. You don't have to tear the rear end apart to find it out. The other thing I do is I make sure I put the valve stem opposite that stud, or opposite of the name, so like it's 6 o'clock, if this stud would be 12 o'clock. And the reason I do that is so when you're putting air in the tires, you go to one side to the other side, it's right there. You know exactly where the stem is. You don't have to root around trying to find the valve stem. You know, it's a big thing in drag racing because you check the air pressure just before the car fires up and leaves. So the last thing you want to be doing is fumbling around trying to find where the valve stem is. One's down, one's up, you know, and this, that. So that's a maintenance thing that I always do. I always put both axles facing the same direction and then the wheels mounted in the same orientation. Now, again, if you have a posi track or a locker or something like that, the valve stems aren't always going to be oriented because the differential allows it to slip so they can reclock themselves. But I still will identify straight up, some type of straight up insignia on the axle flange or whatever, and then still mount the wheel the same thing. So even though on a deep dish wheel, you know, the valve stem can be in pretty far, you got to bend over pretty far to see it if it's at the top. But if you look at the name on the axle, you don't have to bend over that far to see it, and you'll know right away, okay, I know the axle or the valve stem core placement is, you know, orientated the way we put it on. So just something I do that just makes maintenance a lot easier. And like I said, on a spool car where you got worry about axle twist, having both sides oriented in the same position makes it really easy to keep a track on how much twist your axles are getting, and you know, if you got any issues with that. Ryan says spent years on a late model team. Tire mounting is not a joke. yeah, it can be a pain. And of course, I only have one spoon in the shop. I need to go pick up a couple extra spoons, so I was using pry bars. Pry bars aren't the easiest to use because they don't have a hook on the end of them to grab the bead. But thought it might be interesting for you guys to see how that's done. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get Smurf put back together. I got a couple things I want to do. I'm going to show you guys next week. I'm going to make a honing cup or a honing plug. So, and what that is, you may not have ever heard of that before, but in a racing application where you want to do in between round maintenance, you're not actually going to take the motor apart and machine it. You're going to fix it at the shop or at the track. And you know, you say you have a piston that comes apart, you burn a piston, something like that, or you think you might want to re-ring or something like that. You need to hone the cylinder, and the crank is still in the motor. Well, you could wrap rags around the crankshaft and then use tons of brake clean to clean all the grit from the honing out of the from getting into the crank and into the bearings. The motor's together, you can't take it apart to clean it. It becomes a mess. So what they do, I've seen on the big pro mod guys that are running big blowers and stuff. They have a honing plug, and what it is a aluminum disc with O-rings that's sized to snugly fit inside the bore, and it's got a long handle. So they push it all the way to the bottom, make sure the throws of the crank are not in the way, all the way to the bottom. It's only about a ½ inch tall, and now you can hone the cylinder and kind of clean it down, wash it down with brake clean, all that, wipe it all out, and then pull the plug out, and the O-rings will drag any other material out, and nothing gets into the crank. So it saves you a lot of time having to clean the crank and worrying about honing grit getting down in the bearings and possibly tear a bearing up. So nobody makes one that I know of for this size for a small block. They're all for Hemis and stuff like that, big Hemis. The smallest one I saw online was for a 4350 bore. Ours is much smaller than that. So I'm going to go ahead and build one tomorrow, and then so I'll be able to hone the cylinders and stuff, file fit the rings, and put it back together, and hopefully be able to light the motor off on Friday or Saturday, and that way I got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for loading the trailer, getting everything organized, and getting ready to head out to Steele, Alabama. So just a couple things, a lot of people wouldn't see that kind of stuff because you're not, if you're not involved in some type of racing team or something like that. Obviously, even a lot of racers don't have beadlocks on their cars, so I thought maybe that might be interesting for you guys to see how it's done. It's funny that beadlock piece, like I said, it pinches the bead between the rim and the outer ring, and you've seen torquing it down diagonally and all that stuff. And when you get all done, it only torques to 25 foot-pounds. So it's pretty funny how little bit of pressure, but when you have 360 degrees of engagement, how much that works. And trust me, those tires will not be able to rotate on the rim. So really cool. And, got that all done. And like I said, tomorrow I'll make that honing plug, and then that'll probably take me most of the morning, and then start honing cylinders tomorrow afternoon, and file fitting rings on Thursday, cleaning all the parts, put it all back together on Friday, and we'll see where we get them. Rinson says I used them on my mud truck and side-by-sides. Yeah, you're right. So rock crawlers and mud trucks use them a lot because rock crawlers run almost no air pressure in their tires. They want the tire to actually conform to the rocks they're climbing. So they run very little air pressure. If you didn't have a beadlock, the bead would just fall off the rim, and then you'd have a flat tire. And of course with mud trucks and side-by-sides, again, you can run lower air pressures and not have to worry about turning hard and running the tire off the bead. A lot of dirt late models and street stocks and IMCA cars, they all run beadlocks, again, because they run low air pressure, and when you're slinging the car sideways, it's very easy to knock the bead off the rim if you didn't have a beadlock on there. So there's a lot of uses other than drag racing. That's drag racing is the one I'm used to. When I did race stock cars, I ran asphalt. We didn't run beadlocks on asphalt. So that's what we got going on this week. We'll get Smurf put back together, and I'll get you some pictures of the hone plug, and I'll show it in use. And that probably won't be able to show a whole lot more on the Smurf going back together, as Ryan says. We don't want the competition seeing what we got going on, but I mean, the pictures of the block, it's a picture of the block that everybody uses, so it's nothing new there. being a nitrous motor, dry decked on the head, so you don't have to worry about blowing a head gasket out through the cooling passages. All that stuff is all pretty much at the level A-Lig, nitrous small blocks. That's all pretty much everybody's doing the same thing. There's not a whole lot reinventing the wheel, so to speak, in that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more spark plug tools together. I'm going to show you guys that next week. Trying to think what else I got coming up. Like I said, the Vega is going to get back burner for a little bit. We got to wait for Holly to send the new manifolds. And I got the fuel pump coming for that, so I got to drop the tank and all that stuff. But we can do all that, coming up here in a little bit. Buick update. Got more data on the orientation of the wiring. So there's 3 wires on it: a 12 volt, a ground, and the signal return back to the ECU. So there's only 3 possible combinations, and I've done all 3, and only one shows that it works, but it's still not enough of a signal for the Holly to read it. My buddy Doug, Holly engineer, suggested putting a 1,000 ohm resistor between the 12 volt and the return as a pull-up. It's something they do a lot in computer stuff to make the sensor read cleaner, but that did not work. So I did a research, and there's a company, Cruise Performance, and he actually has a crank pulley with a 12-1 trigger wheel built into the pulley. So that will be here hopefully tomorrow, and we'll scope get that on there. We'll scope that, make sure it's all working properly, and then hopefully if it's working good, then we'll plug it into the Holly, get the car running, and get some tuning done on that. So that'll be good to have that car out of here, because as soon as that Buick's out of here, the Vet Hawk is coming in, and I got to get back on that on my Saturday, Sunday time, because I'd like to have that car going to NSRA and to NSRA Louisville and to LS Fest in NSRA Louisville is in August, and LS Fest is in September. Scott and I are going to haul our car, the Vega and hopefully the Vet Hawk. We're going to haul them to NSRA, and we're going to leave them in storage in Louisville, fly home, fly back, pick them up a couple days before LS Fest. It's only an hour drive from Louisville Fairgrounds to Beach Bend Motorsports Park, or driveway. So we'll come in on Thursday morning, make that drive, and then be there for LS Fest, and then drive home from LS Fest. So that'll be cool. Obviously, the Vet Hawk will not be a finished car, but I would like to make it running and driving. So we'll see how that goes. If we can make it, I'm going to definitely try. So we'll get back to work on that on the channel, and like I said, and probably after I get back from Steele, Alabama, I'll talk to Will and see where he's at, and we'll try to make some plans on when we can get the 4200 back to the strip, because we've got the turbo working right. Holly's controlling the wastegates now. As you guys were on the show a couple weeks ago, I mean, we made 955 at the hub. So I mean, the car's ready. It's ready to make a run. So that'll work pretty good. Thought about solid motor mounts for my application. There's nothing wrong with. Well, let me rephrase that. There's nothing wrong with solid motor mounts on your engine. However, if you're 3-point mounting your engine and transmission, I know that you can buy them. They sell solid transmission mounts. Do not use those. You will break especially if it's an automatic, you will break your transmission case if the motor makes any power at all. And what happens is solid mounted the engine, typically like most motors that are in the 70s, 80s, 90s. There's a motor mount on either side of the oil pan rail towards the front of the engine, and then you have a solid transmission mount or a transmission mount in the back. And what happens is the engine will twist some depending on how much horsepower you make. I mean, obviously, a 200 horsepower motor probably wouldn't have a problem, but higher horsepower motors will try to twist, and then you've got the rigidity of your frame. So even in a drag car with a complete double frame rail, Mac Daddy, I have seen solid trans mounts break the transmission in half. So don't ever use a solid transmission mount. That's just my thing. I see Renson says he's got a poly for the trans mount. That is correct. And in fact, it's funny. I had a customer years and years and years ago, had a Camaro drag car, and he told me his car made so much horsepower, it broke every turbo 400 transmission he had in there. He had to put a Lenco in there to stop it from breaking a tranny. I said, okay. I didn't think much about it. Funny story. But I was building him a tube chassis Corvette Pro Street car, and he wanted to put a Jericho in it. So our what we did with that car was pretty cool. Going back to where there wasn't a whole lot of high horsepower 5-speeds. So what we did, we put a Jericho in, and we basically made first, second, and third gear ratio the same as a Turbo 400, first, second, and third. And then, but geared the rear end so fourth, which was 1-to-1, was actually overdrive. I think what we did is we ran a 410 gear with a 32-inch tall tire, which really should have had a 488. So we did the math, first, second, and third ratios. We made them with the 410 equal the same as if they were a Turbo 400 with a 488. And then, of course, then you would put it in fourth, which is 1-to-1 in the transmission, and you have a 410 in the back, so it basically made overdrive. But that was just something we did. But the cool thing was, on the brand new Jericho, there was a tag. And the tag said, warning, do not mount transmission with a solid mount. You can either use no mount if you're using a mid plate, or use a rubber or poly mount. If you break the case, there is no warranty on the transmission. So I thought that was pretty funny because the guy had brought me a solid mount to use on that Jericho. So I called him up and I'm like, what kind of training mount were you running on your Turbo 400s back in the day with your Camaro? He goes, oh, I was running solid. Always ran solid. Well, there you go. That's why he broke 3 400 turbo cases, because he was running a solid mount. Even though the motor was on mid plate and a front engine plate and a chassis car, there still was enough twist between the chassis and the engine that it would break the case. The transmission bell housing on a stock case, that was back in the day, that was before the advent of the SFI cases. They're very thin. You can break the ears off them things, just tighten them down on the dowels incorrectly. So again, just a good tech tip: do not ever use a solid transmission mount on your transmission. So I'll get that off my soapbox. So anyway, that's what we had for the show tonight. Didn't really get anything super tech for you guys. Kind of got busy with everything that's going on, but hopefully, you guys see what we're doing at the Vega, and I think it's going to come out real cool. And I'm trying to make those mounts on the Vega something that can be purchased when we're done. See how good they can come out and how good my templates come out. But I'd like to be able to make those, be able to replicate them so that we can possibly sell some. With the Corvette mounts, I think it's going to be really smooth ride on there. So anyway, that's pretty much what we had for the show. I appreciate it. Remember, subscribe, ring the bell for instant notification, hit the thumbs up, give it a like. That helps with the algorithm, with YouTube. Share with your friends, bring them on in the show. I did kind of run out of time Scott went to Run with the Sun car show in Myrtle Beach, and he got a video. He got an interview on one of the videos. I will put that up next week. I didn't get a chance to get all this stuff loaded to show it to you, so we'll see that next week, and that's good. So anyway, hope you guys have a great weekend. Smash the like button, and we'll see everybody next week. Oh, and by the way, we're only 3 people away from 2,000 subscribers, so tell your friends, hit that subscribe button. It's free. So anyway, that's all I got for tonight. So y'all have a good week, and see ya.